You gotta love the mysteries here. First of all, it's a real shame that Mass can't be about 7 or 8 hours long. You know, the old synagogue services, the president of the synagogue would invite people as they came in. Would you do a reading today? They go, oh, sure. Would you do a reading? Would you do a reading? Would you do? And he'd invite usually about 7 people. Here's the trick. Whoever read gave the homily. And gave the homily on each of the readings. Whoa. 7 readings, 7 homilies. You got more time to get into the mystery here. So let's take a look at what this gospel's showing us, because there's an awful lot there, but it's actually pretty simple. Jesus asks us, just as he asked them, the most important question of our lives. Who am I? Who am I? Notice how he works them into it. That's part of the humor. Who do people say that I am? If I ask you, hey, what are people saying about the debt ceiling crisis? You're going to give me all the expertise that you've learned on the TV and the internet about that crisis. Easy. I'm not invested at all. But then Jesus points it. Yeah, you got all that answer right. That's what other people are saying. But you, who do you say that I am? Oh, man. Don't you hate teachers like that? Just don't pick on me. Pick on her. Ask her that question. But that makes it so personal, doesn't it? And that's the question we get asked. Each and every one of us. Not, who do they say I am? Who do Catholics say that Jesus is? Who do Lutherans say Jesus is? What do the Jews say about Jesus? What do Muslims say about Jesus? That's too easy. Who do you say Jesus is? How we answer that question determines the rest of our life. Because you say either Jesus is just a man, and that affects how we go from there. Or you say Jesus is God. But if you say Jesus is God, but he's not man, well then how does he connect with us? Or you say Jesus is neither God nor man. He's a unique kind of being. That was real popular in the first centuries of the church. We call it Arianism. Or we can give what has become the traditional answer of the Catholic Church. Jesus is both God and man. Both. Together. Somehow. In mystery. That's the answer that Peter gets. Now here's the real fun part. This is the same Peter that I wish we could have started this reading about 2 chapters ago and could continue it. A little sneak peek for next Sunday. Peter doesn't get blessed like he does in this one. Think about what we've heard about Peter over the last few weeks. Remember the story about being at sea? And he sees Jesus coming to him, and he says, let me come to you on the water. And Jesus says, come. And off Peter goes. Until he takes his eyes off the Lord. And what happens to Peter? Vlog. Today, he gets the answer right. Can you see Peter there? You know, he's always screwing things up. But this time, on this important question, he got it right. Yes, yay, God. I got 100. At the very end of this story, which we don't hear today, but we'll hear next weekend. Sorry, Father. We're going to hear next weekend. You're going to hear Jesus say, well, now the Son of Man has to go back and suffer. And the same Peter who got an A on this midterm is going to mess up the final. Because he's going to say, you don't have to do that. He's on a roll. He's on a roll. And what does Jesus say to him then? Get behind me, you Satan. Well, not only did he get it wrong, he's getting condemned. Now, how do we put all this together? First of all, how do we respond to that question ourselves? We need to spend some time with that question and our answer. How do I live my life? Do I live my life as if I acknowledge Jesus Christ as both true God and true man, like we say in the Creed? Do we see both his humanity and his divinity together? And if so, what does that mean to us in the way we live our life, day in and day out? How do we move it from theory to practice? What difference does that make to us? We celebrate it every time we come to Mass. And we come to the altar of the Lord and we receive the body and blood of Christ. We are reminded of his humanity and his divinity. It needs to make a difference in how we answer that question. But the important part, I think, about this whole question of St. Peter is not that somehow Peter has now become the perfect disciple. He has not. It's going to take the Christian church over 500 years to deal with the question of who is Jesus. And Peter gets it like that. He might have gotten the words right, but what it means, he still doesn't understand. And that's why next week we're going to see him fail again. Just like he failed with the water, he's going to fail again, just like us. Just because we get the answer right does not make us perfect disciples. Because what that discipleship means is going to be worked out every minute of every day for the rest of our lives. That's what the readings seem to be challenging us to tonight. Not only to raise up Peter as some kind of a paragon of virtue, as if he has all the answers. He got this answer right. But he's still a struggling disciple like the rest of us. But more importantly than that, as we continue with the Mass, and as we leave from this celebration, how do I help bring Christ, true God and true man, to the world around us today? Oh, the mystery